Hello YouTube. I wanted to make a video of my new plasma cutter and tell you what I think of it. This is the Bestarc BTC 650 DP Generation 7. It's a 65 amp plasma cutter. You've probably seen reviews on the 50 amp, the BTC 500 DP. I have that one and I've been using it for a while and I love it. But this new one came out and I had some spare money, so I just thought I would pick one up and check it out. It is very nice. It has some unbelievable features that you only find on units that are 3 or 4 times the cost of this. So let me go over it. First of all, let's start in the back. It's got a built-in water separator with a bleed on it. It all comes already attached. It has the 1/4 inch NPT thread or quick connect coupler. There's your power cord, and then your on and off switch is more like a breaker. The fan is on demand, so it's not on. So let me go over some features. So this is your bar graph here. It tells you if you're in the range for your amperage. So if I had my amperage turned down, this would be too high a pressure. It's got 2 red bars, then 3 green, meaning you're in the range, and then 2 more red bars above it if your pressure is too high for your selected amps. So it's kind of foolproof as far as, you know, where to set your pressure for what amperage. It is dual voltage. I'm operating off of 220. It automatically detects that. 65 amps. It goes from 15 to 65, and you'll see the bar graph here go down with the dial. 15 all the way up to 65. Then the next button is this one here. It says cut, and if I push it, it's gonna bleed air off. Okay, so when you set your air pressure, you always set it under flow. So you would push this button, pull out the knob. This is your pressure regulator right here. You pull it out, you dial in your setting, then you push it back in to lock it in place. So there's one of the red bars. So that's telling me I'm exceeding my pressure for that amp reading. However, under flow, I'm right where I should be. Okay, the next feature is 2T or 4T. So 2T is just simply, you pull the trigger, it starts to cut, you let off the trigger, it quits cutting. 4T, which is right there. 4T, you pull the trigger once, it starts to cut, you let off the trigger, it continues to cut until you pull the trigger a second time to stop it. So I don't think I've ever used 4T, but it's there if you want to use it. Next feature is I've got post time, so I can adjust that from post time from 3 seconds to 15 seconds, and that's just simply how long the air pressure runs after you let off the trigger. The point is to cool down your consumables. So, you know, consumables for this thing are very high quality, and they're excuse me, they're not very expensive at all. So I don't really know how important that is, but when I'm cutting heavy stuff, you know, 5/8, 3/4, something like that, I run the post time a little bit more, but for the most part I keep it at 5. Next one is Pilot Arc. So Pilot Arc I can program as well from 3 to 15 seconds. That's good for if you're cutting perforated metal and there's a gap in between. It'll keep the torch going during the full cut, so you don't have to start and stop every time you hit a gap in the metal, like expanded metal or, you know, something like that. So that's a very nice feature. It's usually only on very high-end plasma cutters. Now let's go to the connections. So first we have the ground connector. Let me go down here, get in a little better. Okay, that's your ground DINS connector. Then we have the pilot arc wire. I don't know why it's not focusing. There it goes. Then you have your trigger switch. Then you have your air hose, or your air line. Okay, now going to the torch. It's got, well, let's start with the ground clamp. It's got a decent ground clamp. You know, it's not a 200 amp welder ground clamp, but it's, you know, 65 amps. It's got the AG60P torch, which is very common torch. It does come with the standoffs. I don't always use them. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But the one thing I really want to mention, the gun is very high quality. It's very thick and robust. I've dropped the 50 amp one a couple times on the floor and nothing even got broke. So I'm very impressed with the quality of that. The one thing I will mention is it's got a safety guard over the trigger. Do not under any circumstances remove that. I've seen people break them off in person and in YouTube videos. Don't do that, because if you do that and you set this torch down and you bump the trigger, whatever it hits is going to get cut. I mean, it's like 30,000 degrees, and hopefully whatever that is not you. So definitely do not take this safety guard off. It's there for a reason. So I'll show you a couple cuts I've made. This is 3/16 plate. I cut it at, I believe, 40 amps. I mean, you can just see how clean that is. Super smooth. One thing I do want to mention, this little black line, it's called the heat signature. It's basically how much heat traveled out of that cut. If you get your speed down right, you can actually cut it and just leave that little bit of heat signature on there, and it puts so little heat in the metal, you can pick it up with your hand right after you cut it. Now, if you're going slow and your heat signature is, you know, a 1/4 inch out or 3/16 inch out from the edge, you're putting a lot of heat into that workpiece trying to cut it. So just something I want to mention. But that's 3/16. Let's see. This is 5/8. I cut this at 55 amps, and you can see how clean that cut is. I mean, that wasn't a straight edge or nothing. That was just pull it. Well, no, I think I did have a straight edge on it, but just pull it across. So again, that's 5/8 inch thick. Sorry I didn't actually show the cuts, but right now it's about 3 degrees outside, and I'm in my garage with the door closed, and I don't want to make a mess in my garage or anything. So again, there's the 50 amp. I've had that for a while, and it's been flawless. But the new 65 amp, you know, it's just bigger, badder, better. So I had to have that. So there you go. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I promise I will answer them. If you want to know where to purchase this, you get it on Amazon, or you can go right to Bestarc company website. One thing I will mention, their customer service is phenomenal as well. I had one question on my 50 when I got it. I sent them an email. The very next day they emailed me back, answering my question. You know, everything was just super smooth. And then a week later they sent me another email just to follow up. So yeah, who does that? Anyway, I would highly recommend this unit. It's a phenomenal unit. You can't beat it. I've had plasma cutters that cost 5-6 times the cost of this, and they're not near as good as this unit. It's just phenomenal. So there you go. Have a good day. Be safe out there. We'll see you next time.